thank you to all of the Blue Dots, and I have to especially be sure to give a shout out to Gloria, who was one of my very, very first supporters early on in this campaign, which although it's only been 6 months, it may not seem like a long time to y'all, it seems like a lifetime to me. I can hardly remember being a full-time attorney and leaving my law practice 6 months ago to do this. What an exciting few days and few weeks it's been. Just in these past few days, it's incredible to think about all that's happened. Before I even get into telling you too much more about myself, just think about this. 6 months ago, I entered this campaign. I left my law practice because I felt called to service, much like I felt after 9/11. When I entered this campaign, it was against a popular sitting U.S. Senator, Bob Corker, and I did that because it was the right thing to do, even though it was going to be a very, very difficult road ahead. And I knew the only way I was going to be able to do it, and do it successfully, was to devote all of my time and attention to it. So I resigned from my law firm, and I got into this race. And in that 6 months, so much has changed. The response I've gotten has been extraordinary from Tennesseans all across this great state. In terms of financial support, we've raised $750,000, and perhaps more importantly, have just met so many good people who are standing strongly behind this campaign. And now here we are in the past few days. Senator Corker says he's not going to run. And then today, Governor Haslam says he's not going to run either. And now Marsha Blackburn throws her hat into the race. And the entire dynamic has changed tremendously to where now Tennesseans, I believe, are going to have a very, very clear choice in front of them between Marsha Blackburn and someone who truly believes in service, who's a servant leader, who's not a career politician, and whose only goal is to make the lives of Tennesseans better. So just what a great place to find ourselves. What a great opportunity for us as Democrats, but more importantly, for all of us as Tennesseans to improve the lives of those around us. I've just wanted to stop for a minute just to really take that in, because it's been a whirlwind ever since that happened. There's a lot that I want you all to know about me, and I can't go through all of it with you, and that's why I went and spoke to you at the tables as much as I could. Fundamentally, I want you to know that I believe in service. I believe in the value of service. And many of you know a little bit about my military history, and I'll tell you a little bit about that, but I want to just touch on some things that I don't always get to talk about when I give my stump speeches, but I want you to understand just how deeply important it is to me to serve. I was practicing law 15 years ago on 9/11, but while I was practicing law, I was also serving on a volunteer search and rescue team. And at that point in my life, one of the most valuable and rewarding things that could happen would be when that pager would go off, and I could go in the middle of the night, this is in the mountains of Colorado, and go, find a lost child or rescue a stranded hiker. And I had immediately that feeling like, if I could do this all the time, just help individual people, just improve their lives and their time of need, wow, it's hard to find a more important focus than that in life. And then the attacks of 9/11 happened, and I had this feeling like I think my grandfather, a World War II veteran and a police officer, must have felt. This call to service, his generation stood up and stepped forward, and I had that unshakable feeling. A call is the only way I can really describe it. And so I stepped forward. I went into an Army recruiting station, and I volunteered. I joined the 101st Airborne Division, and I'll tell you more about how that went, but I want to skip forward a little bit because, like I said, I talk about my military stuff a lot. I got out of the Army and went to the Department of Labor and was privileged to work for the Mine Safety and Health Administration, protecting coal miners who were being taken advantage of by coal mining operations, who were putting profits ahead of people. A group that desperately needs to be protected. Anyone who is willing to undergo those kinds of conditions for the good of their family are truly heroes, and they need to be protected and acknowledged from those who would exploit them. I was very privileged to do that for a long time. I went on to private practice and became a member of the Federal Public Defender panel. Became very, very passionate about criminal justice. I had been a prosecutor in the JAG Corps, prosecuting murders and rapists, and loved being a prosecutor. Loved working for those victims, making sure that women and men who were the victims of sexual assault and harassment found justice and knew that we really cared. And then being on the flip side, being able to work for people who in many cases had committed a nonviolent drug offense, yet were facing 10, 20, 30 years in prison, whose communities were being torn apart. Being able to get to know them and know that they were not defined by their crimes, but rather defined by who they are, and had made a mistake for which there needs to be consequences, but didn't need to change them and their communities forever. Those are experiences that I've held with me and are so important to me to work on when I get to Washington. But let me take you back just a little bit in time now. So 15 years ago, I walked into an Army recruiting station after 9/11, and I volunteered. The recruiter asked me if I wanted to go to the JAG Corps. I was a lawyer at the time. Something y'all will learn about me if you haven't figured it out is I don't always take the expected path. And so seeing a helicopter poster on the wall, I said, that's what I want to do. Well, that young recruiter said, sir, that'd be fine, but you'll have to get an age waiver because I was 30 at the time. I went off to Fort Sill to basic training with a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds and found out why they thought 30 was old. But what an incredible experience. I had been in my bubble. Despite all the things I had done, really, I had been in my bubble. And getting to basic training to work with these kids who had defied the stereotypes of being lazy or selfish and had left their homes, left safety in a time of war to serve their country, and to learn from and work with people who had come from all walks of life, from all different backgrounds, all to serve a common purpose and to accomplish a common goal. It was inspiring, and let me give you an example, because these are the kind of things that have really stuck with me. I was privileged to fly Black Hawks for the 101st Airborne Division, and when you're flying a helicopter in combat, it takes 4 people, 2 pilots and 2 crew chiefs. Not once during a year of combat operations did I ever wonder whether the person next to me was a Democrat or Republican, right? I never considered whether the people behind me were conservative or liberal. We had each other's backs. We were a team. We were going to accomplish a mission. And we should expect the exact same thing from our politicians in Washington. Our elected leaders have a mission to accomplish. They should be improving economic and social opportunities for each and every one of us, and yet they choose to stay in their bubbles. All too often, they choose to put partisanship ahead of people, to put politics ahead of their country. Now, there are exceptions to those, and I know we have some candidates here who I'm sure will be those exceptions. Former elected official who I know was an exception. And I look forward to the time when each and every one of our elected officials can hear thank you for your service the same way that I hear that when I'm in an airport in my uniform. But sadly, we're far from that place, and those types of elected officials are sadly in the minority. My wife and I worry for our children's future and for your futures without substantial change. We want to raise our children in a country that's driven by courage, not by fear. In a country that celebrates the power of unity and not the politics of division. But we can't get there until our elected leaders learn what soldiers know: every mission, every goal is only accomplished when we work together. The alternative is a tyranny of a gerrymandered majority or partisan gridlock. Now, I've had a chance to speak with hundreds, perhaps thousands of individuals over the past 6 months about this campaign. Many of them are Democrats, and they are just so excited to talk to a strong Democratic candidate, and they are behind this campaign. Many others have never been involved in politics before. This is brand new to them, but they're ready to get involved. And I'm sure there are folks like that here. I talk to them every day. They're energized, they're activated, they want to volunteer, they want to contribute, they're going to get out and vote. That is so encouraging to me. And many others have voted Republican in the past, but they too see in me someone who represents service and sacrifice, integrity and accountability, and those are values that everyone can stand behind. People in Tennessee understand that I will be a senator who represents all Tennesseans and who stands for the values that each and every one of us holds dear. A hard day's work should earn a living wage. Arts and sciences are as valuable as stocks and bonds. Access to high-quality, affordable, comprehensive health care is a right to every single American. Education, public education, is the strongest pathway to opportunity for each and every one of us, and that needs to be strengthened. And each and every one of us should be free to live, love, speak, and pray as we choose. Every morning I wake up and I read the paper, listen to the news, or used to look at Twitter, but I deleted the app. It was getting too painful. But the fact of the matter is many people get discouraged or had gotten discouraged. I know I was starting to feel that way. But now I get energized. Every morning I wake up and I know I'm doing exactly what I need to do at this critical moment in history. It is a rare thing in anyone's life to find true mission focus, a focus of purpose. And I've felt that way a couple of times, truly on the battlefield in Iraq, in the courtroom once or twice before. But I wake up every day now with a singularity of purpose to know that I'm going to do everything I can do that day to make the world a better place, to become your next U.S. Senator. It is a wonderful feeling. I don't know how anyone could do this without devoting every ounce of energy to this. When I'm not campaigning, I'm spending all too rare quality time with my children or serving the Air National Guard one weekend a month. And I'm so grateful to be able to have this focus. And I intend to maintain this focus not just until I get to the U.S. Senate, but once I'm there, and to continue to make the hard choices to do what's right, even as an elected official. You know, whether we're talking about Jeff Sessions rolling back the clock on criminal justice reform, or one party crafting a secret health care bill behind closed doors with no input from the American people, or existential threats to our country, both from outside and from within, we need someone who understands that actions have to follow words. I'm a person who knows that you have to act on your words. You have to follow through on what you believe. So when folks ask you, who is James Mackler? And I hope they ask you a lot, because I hope you're out there talking about this campaign a lot, at the church, at synagogue, the mosque, at your school, at barbecues, everywhere you go. You should be saying, let me tell you about this Senate campaign, let me tell you about James Mackler. And people are going to say, why do you keep talking about him? And who is that guy? And, you know, there are a few things you should say. These are things I'm very proud of. I'm the father of 2 young girls, 7 and 6, for whom I would do anything in the world. They inspire me and motivate me to get out here every single day to make the world a better place to them. I'm married to a woman who, as a member of the clergy, teaches me every single day what it means to truly serve a community. And if I can serve as a senator half as well as she does, I'll be doing a pretty good job. I'm a person who knows that patriotism is not blind obedience to authority. And most of all, thank you. Please. Let's talk for patriotism. But most of all, I know that actions have to follow words. I left a comfortable law practice after 9/11 to serve because it was the right thing to do. 6 months ago, when it seemed impossible, I left a partnership at a law firm, again, because I had to do more. I'm a person of action. I know that all of you are people of action as well. That's why you're here. That's why you're involved with the Blue Dots. I appreciate that so very much. I ask you to continue that action. Go to jamesmackler.com, sign up for the campaign, share your views, please contribute, and encourage others to do the same. And of course, when the time comes, get out there and vote. But every single day, this race becomes more winnable. We are looking toward having a Democrat in the U.S. Senate again. That's because of all of you. Thank you so much.